Today I'm going to walk you through a worksheet designed to test your understanding of modulation. Before you proceed with the video, be sure to download a free worksheet, complete it and check if your answers are right. Pause and do it right now. Download link below. Question 1 here is already done, but let me explain a bit. The question is asking us to modulate to the dominant key. We started in the key of G major, so the dominant key should be D major. That is the goal of our modulation. We start off by establishing the original key with some chords, ending with a perfect cadence in G major. After that, I can jumpstart with the 3-part modulation process with a pivot chord, a secondary dominant, and a new tonic. As you can see here, the G major chord is the pivot chord. It is chord 1 of the old key and chord 4 of the new key. The A dominant 7th chord is the secondary dominant with a C sharp accidental that acts as the new leading tone. This chord will lead into the new tonic, a D major triad. Since the modulation has completed, I can continue in the new key and start using chords that belong to D major. Also note how the secondary dominant and new tonic are indicated from G major's perspective. The secondary dominant is labeled as 5-7 of 5 because it is D major's dominant 7th. The new tonic is indicated as 5 from G major because we have modulated to D major. Should we choose to, we can pivot back to G major anytime from this chord too. Let's have a listen to this. Great, now on to question 2. We are asked to modulate to the dominant key again. Starting in F major, our goal is to establish C major as the new tonic. The 3-part modulation process should start here. The F major chord is the pivot. It is chord 1 of the old key and chord 4 of the new key, C major. The secondary dominant will be either a G major triad, chord 5 of C major, or a G dominant 7th, chord 5-7 of C major. The new tonic will be a simple C major triad, our destination for this modulation. Next, I'll continue in the new key by having a chord progression in C major. Here's the answer. Do remember that the secondary dominant can be extended into a dominant 7th too. If you choose a dominant triad, it is also acceptable. Let's have a listen to the modulation. Pay attention to the naturalized B note in the secondary dominant that leads into C major. Moving on, we are asked to modulate to the subdominant key in question 3. We are starting in C major, so our goal is to reach F major. Here's where the modulation occurs. The C major chord is the pivot chord. It is chord 1 of the old key and chord 5 of the new key. The secondary dominant will be chord 5 or 5-7 of F major. The new tonic will be chord 1 of F major. I will then have a progression in the new key that ends with a perfect cadence. Here's the answer. I used a dominant 7th chord as the secondary dominant again because the dominant chord itself is a pivot chord too. And without the appearance of the chromatic B-flat note, the modulation is not apparent. Also note how this chord is indicated as 5-7 of 4 from C major's perspective because I used the dominant 7th of its subdominant. Let's have a listen. Next, we are asked to modulate to the relative minor key from A flat major. So our goal is to get to F minor. You should know where the modulation occurs by now, so let's skip to the answer. So the A flat major chord in bar 4 is the pivot. It is both chord 1 of the old key and chord 3 of the new key. This chord 3 was built from the natural minor, which explains why there's no E natural yet. The next chord, however, is the secondary dominant, and for it to function properly, we need a leading tone. Therefore, we use the harmonic minor scale with an E natural in this case. This is indicated as 5-7 of 6 from A flat major's perspective, because the relative minor chord is also chord 6. The key takeaway here is to raise the 7th scale degree when modulating to a minor key, as you can see with these two chords. Here's how it sounds like. Listen to the change from a major key to a minor one. Question 5. Modulate to the relative major key, starting from G minor. This means that we are modulating to the B flat major key, which is the median of G minor. Here's the answer. I used the G minor chord as the pivot. It is chord 1 of G minor and chord 6 of B flat major at the same time. I then used an F dominant 7th chord of the new key. This is indicated as 5/7 of 3 from the old key, but as a simple 5/7 from the new key. I then arrived to the B flat major chord as the new tonic. Note that during the modulation to B flat major, I have used an F natural instead of F sharp, because we are no longer thinking about the G harmonic minor scale. Let's have a listen to how a minor key modulated to its relative major. On to our last question. Here we started in F sharp minor and we are moving towards the relative major key, which is A major, the median key. Here's my answer. The pivot is chord 1 of the old key by chord 6 of the new key. The secondary dominant is the E dominant 7th chord, labeled as 5/7 of 3 from F sharp minor's perspective. This is because we are moving to the median, chord 3, and we need its dominant or dominant 7th. The new tonic is of course the A major chord itself. Let's have a listen. The effect here is the same as the previous question. Hey guys, my name is Kenneth and I help music teachers and students with everything related to ABRSM music theory. If you found my content helpful, hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my videos.